news. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside.
Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price. My good friend Lynn Fisher, he's in today for Walter Rogers. Lynn, good to talk to you today. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Kevin, great to talk to you as well. It's been a little while.
It has been a while. Walter Rogers likes his airtime, and we like him on the air, but I always enjoy it when you get a chance to set in for him.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. We got to change it up a little bit for our listeners, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Who do you have for us? Do you have a special guest for us?
Yeah, I sure do. I've got a gentleman by the name of Ed Golod, and I'm going to introduce him in just a second. But today's topic is we're going to talk about getting in the habit of selling value over price. And most sales makers today are constantly tempted to discount or to give ground on terms and conditions in order to win business. And we all want to win that business, but we end up losing on the other side of it, which is the relationship side and the value side. And because we're so focused on revenue, that translates into price. So what we all need to remember is that customers don't buy products. What they buy are solutions. And when you stay focused on the value proposition, you can get to a higher degree of margin and a longer-term profitable relationship that stays away from, price discounting and going right to feature advantage selling. So the most important thing to remember is not to lead with products or features and deals, but really to seek to understand the pain points and what's really driving that need in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So go ahead and introduce your guest.
Yeah, great. So I'm really excited to have Ed Golod on the phone today. He's an expert at selling value over price, and he's one of the top sales makers at Eloqua, which is a market leader in marketing and sales automation. And Ed, tell us a little bit about Eloqua and your role, and also help our listeners understand how you position value over price and what that means to your customers.
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for having me. Eloqua is a marketing automation SaaS company, and what we really do is help marketers to measure and execute campaigns and lead management, which in essence feeds the sales funnel and generate more business. So we're selling to marketers and executives all the time. But at Eloqua or wherever else I've been before, which is at Microsoft and my own businesses, we've all tried to sell to the decision maker. And the higher up you get to, the easier your sales cycle will be, and the less discount you're going to throw. But you can't get to the decision maker without selling value. So we tend to practice that as much as we can.
That's very important. That's extremely important because the decision maker, obviously, he's created an infrastructure to protect him from salespeople.
Yeah, it's more like the old movie where you had the castle and and the moat, going around it and the alligators.
That's right. And the alligators would be, the CFO, the purchasing person. Those people are there to kind of protect the king, if you will, from those wretched salespeople. They better be bringing something special if they're going to get across that moat.
That's very true. And what I think is critical in this whole idea of value is the higher up in the food chain, the more risk and the more pain that they have. A CFO is impacted by bad numbers a lot more than a manager is impacted. So when you approach a CFO and tell them you could drive their numbers and drive their revenue and lower their spend and lower their costs, and you could prove it, and you get their ear, you have a friend who's going to help make your entire sales cycle better. We did a deal with Neuberger Berman, and there was zero discount. Zero. They didn't even ask us for a discount.
And I guess that says volumes about the value.
Exactly, because they had a problem. We had a solution. We mapped it to them, and we showed them that we're going to be able to take them down the road. When we finally got to the point of closing the deal, they didn't care if it was a little bit more money because they saw the value that they were going to get back.
Yeah, it goes back to that old cliche, and Lynn, I'll let you interject. It goes back to the old cliche is that you got to focus on the benefits of something and not merely what a product's going to do.
And it's I'm sorry, Lynn.
No. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, actually, Lynn and I were chatting about that a while ago, and there's a little thing that, I do at Eloqua, which I try to remember, and there's another acronym. Sorry about that one, but it's, the value, the benefit, and the feature. It's sort of like the V, the B, and the F. So if the value is to lower your costs and increase your position at the company and help you with a merger and things like that, then the benefit is faster time to value and faster time to money and things like that. But the last thing on the ladder is the feature. well, my software creates this process, therefore drives the benefit. So when you get into that feature too soon, it's very hard to get back out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely true. And you know what? We also have another acronym that we focus on, but it'll make absolute sense. It's called productivity, profitability, and image. And those are the three buying forces that most people will key off of. And especially like Ed is talking about, when you're talking with an executive or somebody who works for an executive where you're trying to break into that office, if you focus in on productivity as an example, how can we create expediency? How can we create efficiency or increased output? Or profitability, how can we help you make money? What can we do to impact return on investment or increase profitability? And then the last thing is image. Sometimes you just are selling on basically style, reputation, or the relationship that you have. But focusing in on these three things and what all these three things translate to is what does the customer really care about? What is the problem behind the need? And when you're able to align yourself with that care about, then price seems to dissipate and disappear, or it doesn't surface until the very end. And now you're starting to sell on value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very true. And one of the things at Eloqua that we do, which I find very dynamic, is they create personas. And they do that to help their customers market to the right people, but they create personas to help us sell. So if I'm selling a CFO, that's column A, and if I'm selling down to a VP, that's the middle column, and if I have a manager, that's the right column. And when you start to categorize that, you can start to then understand that the value and the connectivity per person is different, and it keeps you organized. And that's very, very important in today's market, where everybody's a little bit flipped out because of the economy and companies, etc. So it keeps you on point.
Hey, how do you? Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, how do you justify going higher up than the typically normal person that you would deal with?
You know, it's a great story. I was doing some work a while ago, several years actually, before with Eloqua, and I was with a fellow that we were trying to do some business case work, and I just picked up the phone one day and called the number 3 guy at Hewlett-Packard, and I left a message, but that wasn't enough, so I sent him an email, and about 5 days later, he got back to me and sponsored me into a situation. Now, it took me 3 hours to write the email, but I got in with the number 3 guy with a $5 billion budget. There is not a rep in the country, if they take the time to understand the value to the exec, cannot pitch right to the CEO.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible. It's amazing because it seems like someone like that would be unobtainable. Lynn, you were going to comment?
No, I was just going to say that when you're trying to, as we talked about before, to break into those upper echelons, everything falls downhill. So when a senior executive has a major strategic focus, that gets handed down to the mid-level team in order to take action on. So as you're pushing upwards into the organization, as you find out what the top 3 care abouts or strategic goals that these managers have, these mid-level managers have, they're likely going to translate up to the executive team. And when you can align yourself with those 3 major care abouts, the organization starts to open itself up to you. And again, if you're asked about your price, and Ed, I'd like to have you comment on this. We always push off and say, hey, let's not talk about price because we really need to seek to understand the problem that's here and really get behind it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And when the sales rep understands that the senior executive, like a CEO, if you're selling a product for $50,000 and it delivers 3, 4, 5 times value, that may not be important to a gentleman or a lady or a woman running a $5 billion company. So that may belong in the SVP level. But if you're selling $1 million product, which a lot of us do, and it generates 5, 6 times value, that's interesting to a decision maker. Once they find some connectivity with you and they bring you down to the mid-tier, you're walking in with a pair of golden shoes, basically. It's very hard for them to throw you out.
That is very attractive. You got to love that. Hey, we're fixing to have to go. Ed, please give your website address so people can learn more about your company.
Yeah, it's www.eloqua, Eloqua, Eloqua.com.
Eloqua.com. bakercommunications.com. I love it. Very good stuff. And, of course, Lynn, we loved having you on. Send our regards to Mr. Walter Rogers. Bakercommunications.com. And, by the way, they are essentially building a book over at priceofbusiness.com, and their articles, their content. Make sure you check it out. Lynn, you did a great job. I'll send a good report to Walter.
I appreciate that, Kevin. Always good to be with you.
You did a great job. Very important subject. We'll look forward to continue to explore it, because I'm telling you right now, this is huge. In fact, if you're still there, Lynn, I want to talk to you between the breaks, so don't run off. But very important subject, very interesting information, kind of stuff we like to give you all the time right here on The Price of Business on Talk 650, powered by CBS Radio.